Very good. I have 4 of us. And we'll move up here for a sec. All right. So if you've logged in, you should see now we're over in the course modules. Okay. And make sure if you have a device that you've got it muted. Muted. Please mute your device. Okay. Thank you. Now, I sent everybody an email and an announcement, and we take just a couple of minutes or so to talk about that very quickly. And this is the one, this is the informational email from the OBU registrar. Basically what the registrar is saying is that we have to keep track of, are you attending class and are you doing anything, okay? So here's the deal, okay, again, so that you understand. In this course, when you log in, okay, and you log in at the start of class for that particular class, or let's say you've logged in for that day, you log in for that course, like today, you're good. You've attended. Got me? Now, if you can't log in at this time, you have till noon the next day to log in. Okay? Maybe you're out somewhere traveling or whatever, so you have till noon the next day to log in, and when you do, then you've attended. Okay? Very clear on that. Now, participation. Canvas tracks what you do. I can go in and take a look at what time you logged in, how long you were here, how long you were in Canvas, what you did. So if someone just logs in and then they don't do anything and they log out, that's no good for them because they just showed up and didn't do anything. If you log in, you should be doing something because I'm having class, or you should be doing something because it's not during the class time. You're going to be looking at what we did in class. Does that make sense? Okay. So everybody understands that. Now I will show you real briefly so that you understand what I'm talking about. And you're not going to have the same view that I do. I'm going to click on people. And I'll be very quick with this. But I've got people, the role of the person, their last time they were did an activity, total activity time, etc. I have even a little thing called, I can get their analytics. And I'll have to go in and take a mess with that a little bit. But I can get analytics that will show me everything they've done, etc. I don't want to go too far with this because I don't want to show people's IDs and stuff, okay? But I do know when you take an exam, I do know when you logged in and you took the exam, how much time you spent, all that stuff. So I'm watching you every moment, every second. I know everything. Now, look, it's a little creepy, isn't it? Okay. And since you've logged into Canvas now, I know everything you're doing, where you go, where you went, because it tracks into your phone. That's not true. That's a lie. I wouldn't want to know because I'd have to call some of your parents and they'd probably go, yeah, I knew that already. I'm no one to speak. At my time here, I was but a wee lad and I had my own problems. Okay, so everybody understands about this. So if those who don't start showing up, the registrar starts cleaning up that mess. Okay, now, also in the announcements, you're going to notice something. You see the thing, January 29 class session. That's the YouTube video I created for you guys. Okay, that was of class, the screencast. Got it? Now you should be able to go over there and get a transcript if you want to look at a transcript of the thing. Again, if you have a question about something that we did, shoot me an email and give me the hour and the minutes so I can go look and try to answer your question. Fair enough? Yes? No? Okay, very good. All right, let's talk about the assignments and let's click on the modules. All right, and I want to make sure we're all clear about what's going on. Now you have the welcome area that's got a whole bunch of information in here. about the course, resources, etc. And I'll make that, publish that there while I'm thinking about it. Good. Now, we're going to go. Why didn't I do that in the first place? Yeah, we'll want to anyway. Sorry about that. As you scroll down at the end of each module, you will find four links. These are links to this first PDF will show you, so, okay, what's the point distribution? Okay, well, I've got it listed there. All the quizzes, exams, the cases, etc. How many points there are, adds up to a total. Okay? Now, always, if you want to see what's going on, is come in and click on the modules because I've got it organized week by week through the modules. Okay? That's just some logistical stuff. Then you say, okay, how about the quizzes and the exams? Let's open that up for just a moment and look at it. All right? And in fact, I'm going to download it.
Why can't I hear him?
What?
I can't hear the man. He's talking, but I can't hear him.
Are you sure he's talking?
He's moving his mouse around.
Well, maybe he's just getting ready.
This is not good.
Ethan, are you sure you are talking about me? Is that Ethan? Samantha? Brady? Brady, are you there? How can you possibly see my mouth? I'm not even on video. They're looking at something else. That's strange. Who that is. Let's get that. Let's mute all. Yes. All right. Now, we'll scroll on over here. Now, I'm not muted. I can see, but we're good. Now, I'm going to download that file and hopefully open it back up. So I'll download the resource. Okay. And let's open it up and take a look at it, the Excel file. We'll probably see it better in here like this. This file, if you say what's on the exam number 1, etc., well, I've got that there for you. Okay. I'll enable the editing part, and then I'll come down here and I'm going to try to resize it up. Move you guys over. There we go. Okay. Now, this will show you, okay, the quiz or the exam, the resources that are there available for you, and where you'll find them. Now, as I've imported stuff, there may be something that doesn't appear. So if something's not there, say for this first exam, the financial ratios quiz, please do me a favor, shoot me an email and say I can't see it, and I'll go check, okay? I'll check myself to make sure that they're appearing. But now, if you want to know about the, that quiz, chapter 2 through 4, that's the show me the numbers text, the great big book. Then chapter 5, the few chive 5, that's the show me the numbers text. Then when we have exam 1, I have a whole set of materials there that I have available over here that the objective part of that is drawn from, and exam 1 part 1 is the objective part. So far so good? Yes. Don't be bobbleheads and just go yes. If you don't understand, ask me now. You understand? Okay. Exam part 1, part 2. There's a couple of resources there. And I also mentioned something, the supplemental website. You'll find a link on here to a supplemental website that has a whole bunch of other resources that I've pulled together over the years I use. Okay? So you'll see that I think it's in the welcome module. So far so good? Okay. Now, let's close this off. Now I want to go down to next. And the resources for the Microsoft Excel cases. All right. And I'm going to download that. Open it up. Now, I have for you in this file, okay, these are for the workshop cases for Excel, okay? Let me walk you through what's here because the last class seemed to have an enormous amount of confusion, and so hopefully I got them on track. Column B, the business problem and spreadsheeting skill. What are we trying to work with and accomplish with this particular case? And so it's client tracking and prospect sources, that type of thing. And then I have an example file over in Canvas. It's called Whistle Cleaners. I think we might have played around with it a little bit. That's a case that I've worked with over the years and played around with it, done different things. You can upload it for the credit for the workshop. Okay? There's a second file. It's called Bakery to Temp, and then you have a tab in there called Customers. That's from the Winston text, which is the Excel text, which is that green text. Now, the publisher of that textbook stopped providing desk copies for instructors, so I get to buy them right along with you. And what I did was I bought a digital copy, and then I have a client called Vital Source that I can buy books and dump them into it digital, so I have my little bookshelf all together. So if you've not bought that, you're going to need it, because like this Bakery Temp, if you want to do that and you want to try it, they're going to walk you through step by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get that accomplished. You with me? So if you want a book that says, okay, in cell A, put this, in cell A3, put this, and so that's fine. It's there for you to give you that background. Okay? I don't care. You can upload either one of these two and you'll get the 15 points credit. I seem to have some non-believers in the earlier section, and I had one. I think I was asked 10 times. We didn't get to 12, and I thought it's too bad because 12 is a holy number of disciples. But trust me when I say to you, if I say, okay, here's something that should upload for XLS1, I'm not going to come along and ding you if it's not the exact file. If you want to try one of these for Excel 1, I'm fine with that as well. But the reason I do the videos is to show you some of the techniques and to show you some of the logic behind it, what we're trying to get accomplished, okay? And then in addition, to show you some shortcuts, things of that nature. Now I had a student ask me, what is this course all about? I got one of those. Let me answer that for you. So hopefully this will clear your mind if you're thinking, ooh, this is insane. What is this course about? It's about, first of all, taking spreadsheet tools, Excel, and using it to take data that I've collected and turn it into information. Information is actionable data. I can do something with it. Okay? The first thing I have to do is take that data, add it, subtract it, but whatever operations, mathematical operations I have to do, I need to do that. You with me so far? The next piece is I need to display it in a way that a person can understand, that a human being can look at it and go, oh, okay, I can see a pattern. Same thing, and then the other is to show you some of the functions in Excel, and as we move into like the Excel example content 2, those later chapters, those are some functions that have some Excel functions that are a little more complicated to work with. Okay? The main thing is for you to become comfortable using a spreadsheet tool and understand that I am taking some data, I'm processing it, I'm adding it, subtracting it, whatever. Then once I've done that, I want to display it so that I can tell a story or make a point or provide decision makers, myself or others, something I can look at and go, okay, that makes sense, other than just a table of numbers. You remember when we did Anscombe's quartet? You'll find it back there in the welcome where they had the same set of data, okay? With the same, they had 4 sets of data with the same mean, median, etc. But when you went and looked at them displayed, they looked markedly different. Summary statistics don't tell people a whole lot of anything. Tables of data don't tell people. People recognize patterns. And part of that pattern recognition is what we're trying to get accomplished. Now, we'll do the same thing when we work with access, but it's also to get you familiar with understanding that a database, okay, is a tool that we can use to help us understand our customers, our transactions, whatever we're interested in a more dynamic method. And we can use the ability to run queries, to mix and to add tables, etc. And you'll see that as we go on. Make sense so far? This course is about decision making. Now, what will happen when you go to work is you'll probably have some kind of dashboard, something that when you open up your machine, your tablet, or whatever, it will show you today's stock prices, maybe sales growth in your territory. Who knows? And the reason that I have you use the feud text, the Stephen feud text, is so that you can know how charts and tables and graphs, etc., ought to be put together and how people can mess them up and misconvey data. So you know what to be looking at or what to be looking for. I see sometimes people who will use one of these charts, one of these radar looking things, and I'm going, that absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. Or some of the infographics that are out there, they're just bizarre. They don't tell you anything at all. And it doesn't sound too exciting right now, but trust me, when your job's on the line and you've got to present some data to your boss and you've got to know that you're making the right decision, or you've got to convince them that you are, you better have a way to display those data that is convincing. And the data had better be right. So we spent some time working with you in terms of that. So for today, we have the whistle cleaners. You could upload that, or you have the bakery tip. You say, where will I find that? And that's in Chapter 1, Figure 1.5 over in the Winston text. So I'm going to diminish this down for a minute. I'm going to go over here. And here I am in the Winston text. Okay? And this is Figure 1-5. Okay? This is in that green textbook somebody brought in here, that monster. And we got, where is it at? Hold that thing up. How much did you pay for that? Somebody got the textbook? So you didn't bring your textbooks? Oh, shame on you. You should have your textbook with you when you come to class. Okay. If you have a digital copy, fantastic. If you can access it, that's fine. My preference for you would be probably the digital copy, because you can rent it for 6 months. And if you can access it at any time, like Vital Source or whatever, a tool like that, you're better off, because it will walk you through all the narrative or the background of where they got these numbers. Okay? So if you don't bring your text, you're not going to get much out of it. But luckily, I've got this here. So let's look at this. And we have, this is a fairly simple problem. Okay? And it says, how can I predict the number of customers a new health club is going to have in 10 years? Fairly good question. Okay? And the nice thing about the Winston text is that it will show you, it will walk you through the narrative, and it will tell you, okay, well, here's how I did it, etc. But it will also provide you some narrative so you can put some information to it. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and look at the screen. If you don't have the book, that's okay. I've got the screen. Here's the business problem. How can I predict the number of customers a new health club will have in 10 years? Your boss comes and says, how many members are we going to have here? I need you to give me a 10-year forecast. And you can do one of two things. You can go, I'm sorry, I have to quit. I can do it. Or you can go, I got that. We're good. And then when you lie to your boss and you come back and go, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm good. Or the third is, I can do it. We're good. And you do it and we're good. Which of those three would you prefer? Number 3, box, yeah, choice, door number 3. Exactly. Now, since you were my first semester, my first winter in this semester in this course, okay, you can have Dean Houghton's car. Ask him for it. He'll give it to you. Tell him you need it for a mission trip, and he will give it to you. I double dog dare you. I'm kidding you. Don't do it. He probably will not take kindly to that. I don't know. I don't know what he drives. I'm not sure I'd want his car anyway. But I think the car he wants is Dr. Reeboks. You know which one that is? The little red one. And he's so proud of that car. I'll tell you, there's times I wanted to just take like maybe something like a crayon or something right on the window that he could wash off, but just freak him out. But I haven't done that. I haven't done that. But that's his pride and joy. The little red car. Personally, if it was, I don't drive something that small. Out on 40, you'd get killed. I think 40 is just such as a death trap over there. And he's like me, he drives from Oklahoma City today. I've got a big SUV. Hey, if I'm going, somebody's coming with me. That's all there is to it. I'm in defense mode. I've got all those lane assist and all that junk. And like a good American, I got my concealed weapon. So if I get in my lane, I can always. It's Oklahoma. I don't have a concealed weapon. That's not true. That is an absolute lie. I used to have a collection of guns, and when I got married, my wife made her so nervous, I got rid of them. And the last gun show I went to was about maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and I looked and I saw military-grade weapons. I saw a rocket launcher. And my first thought was, if you've got to buy a rocket launcher, you need to move. Leave the neighborhood. You don't need to be living there. So let's talk about this. Now, if you look at the screen as you should be, instead of shopping for shoes or looking at dirty movies or whatever you're trying to do, okay? If you're looking at dirty movies, we're going to find out. You'll be coming through the OBU server. Oh, I know. I'm getting the list of names. I know some of you have looked at very questionable material. And we will be coming for you, the thought police. Now, my job is to review those movies to make sure they're as dirty as we believe they are. Sometimes I have to watch them 3 or 4 times just to make sure. That is a lie. I'm just telling a story. If we can't have fun, why be here? Okay? Better we have fun like this and you go out and you put bubbles in the fountain. And don't look, here's a word of the wise. If you do that, you're going to get caught because they got cameras. Okay? So don't put bubbles in the fountain. And have you heard about the milk run? You know what that's about? That's okay. The milk run, I don't know if you still do or not. The milk run is where there in the spring, they'd choose the hottest day, and about 6 o'clock, people would tank up on a lot of milk, and then they'd run the oval. They call it the milk run. Oh, it was ugly. I'm thinking, yes, yeah, why? They did? Okay, yeah, because I think, what's the point? Now, yeah. Now, I also want to let you know, I saw the thing for the profs, whoever it is. I'm not part of them. I'm their manager. We're going on a world tour soon. And Taylor Swift will be our front. She'll be our opening act. Did you know she went to school here? How many of you knew that? It's a lie, she didn't. I'm just telling you. Okay, let's look at this here spreadsheet and talk about these folks who are in the health club. Okay? Because I must do that. I must be in the health club in 10. All right. So we have what we call an assumptions area, and if you look there in the array B2 down to C4, you're going to see start, new per year, and churn rate. What do you think churn rate is? Or turnover, exactly. How many people leave us, and so every year 15% of the people that we have leave us. Got it? Now, thankfully, we're adding 20 new people a year. So we're going to see how this all ends up. You with me? So I start with 100 people, okay? And then I have 20 new customers. And so I'm over here at cell D8. And then I have 15 quits. How did I get the 15 quits? 15% of our start end, our starting number. Okay. So we have how many customers at the end? 105. How did we get that? How did I do that? 105 customers. Now listen, I can talk like that and I can make fun of Oklahoma. I grew up here, IR1, okay? I used to, when I lived up north and worked, people just loved to listen to my accent. And if I wanted to make them think I was really stupid, I'd really lay it on thick. Because they think, hey, he talks like heck, he must be dumb. And it worked out. So let's look at this hard thing. I start at 100 customers. I get 20 new ones. 15 of them quit for various reasons, like the towels smelled funny or the bathrooms weren't clean or who knows. The tanning bed didn't work, or they started smoking again and it doesn't work out, or whatever. So I end up with 105 customers. Now, look at columns G, H, and I. What be going on? Columns G, H, and I are giving us the formula view that I can get from Excel. Down here in these cells, I can display one of two things: the value or the answer, or how I got it. Now, someone asked me, how do I do the formula view in Excel? And I don't do it very much. And frankly, I'd say, hey, I don't remember. I'll find out. I can find it and do it, but I just don't do it very much. Okay? I just don't. Now, because I have a thing called a formula bar. But if I want to show, if I want to have the print, if I want to do the print formula view, let's look at let's call it column C. Now you're going to notice something quite interesting. Look at the start formula. You follow me? It says it equals C2. All right? And that start formula is C2. And so that it started at 100. Then it says, if I come down to row 9, it says equal F8. Where'd they get that? Well, that's the new ending number of customers. And then F9, F10, F11, F12. So I'm using what I call a cell reference, where I'm referencing to a particular cell. Follow me? Cell referencing is important. If you get that, you're a long way away, because if you have to do a lot of spreadsheeting and you understand how to do cell referencing, you'll save yourself an enormous amount of time. And maybe, hopefully you've done that. How many of you had our first course, BISS 1103? Okay. How many of you took it? Do you took it? Yes, fitness, okay, fitness and technology. We have a lot of people that take it and think we're going to do aerobics and stuff while we do Excel. That's ain't happening. Okay. I was fit a long time ago. And how did I know I'd gotten old? I got out of the shower one morning and I said, who's the old guy in the bathroom with me? Called the police. It was me. Here's the lesson. As you get older, get rid of the full-length mirrors. It'll only depress you. Okay. So we've got the start formula. So we're using that column G. We're using that cell, just pure reference back to that cell, so I know the starting number. Got me? Now, the first time, if you look there at column, if you look at G8, I had to use that. I referenced back to C2. But from then on, I'm referencing to something in column F. So if I wanted to be a purist, I'd put a dollar sign in front of the F, so that Excel would know I'm going to stay in the column. I'm just changing the rows. So I don't agree with what the authors did here. I'm a purist, and I would want to make sure if I'm going to stay in column F and then go down the rows, I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of it, because that makes it what we call a mixed reference. If I put the dollar sign in front of the number, what does it say? Yeah, the row will stay the same, but the columns will change. Exactly. It's a mixed reference. So I have three kinds of references. A pure relative, which is no dollar signs in front of either the column or the number. A pure absolute, where I have dollar signs in front of the number and the column, the column, i.e. the letter and the number, or a mixed one. And in this case there in column G, I would, after that first one, I would have had $sign F8 and did drag and drop. The cell referencing them is important so I can use the drag and drop feature instead of sitting there and putting in a formula every time. And it pains me when I see students from some of the other colleges where they haven't learned this and they're sitting there putting reference. They're putting one equation after the other into Excel. I'm going, too bad. Because it's a lot of time. You with me? Cell referencing. Now, here's the thought for the day. As you're out walking around campus, ask people, do you know where your cell reference is? Or ask them, do you know your coordinates on planet Earth? You'll become very popular. People will go, hey, that's somebody that's, I want to party with those dudes. Well, maybe not. Let's look at column H. The plot thickens. Okay? Now I want to know how many of these people quit. And I also want to know who they are and their address and where to find them. So we can gently ask them to come back to our club. We send someone who knocks on the door and says, I understand you don't like our health club. When do you plan to come back? Oh, be back right now. All right. Or you don't need to do that. Let's look at the quit formula. Now notice something. C4, 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 C4. What's that all about? Why have I got a $sign in front of the C and a $sign in front of the 4? Exactly. I'm going to make it a pure absolute reference because I'm going to say C4 is a value of some kind that is unchanging. Okay? Here's a question, pi. How many of you like pi? Okay? How many of you would have an endless amount of pi if you could? And you can, mathematically. What's pi? 3.14, and then what? There you go. Okay, so you got pi. You have an infinite amount of pi. You didn't even know that. You know how blessed you are? You have an infinite amount of pi. And yet you sit and you grumble. Bunch of ingrates. I'm playing. But we've got that fixed, and C4 is that churn rate. If you look up there at column in cell C4, that's the churn rate, 15%. And I'm going to take it times C8, C9, and so again here I'd put a $sign in front of the C, so I know it's going to stay in column C. That's the quit formulas. And so I know how many people are going to quit each time because it's 15% times that start rate, correct? So that starts to tell me how many people I'm going to have. And then if you look at column I, you will see the end formula, that is the total. Now, it shows us it equals C8 plus D8 minus E8. I'm a purist, so on that operation for C8 plus D8, I'd put parentheses, although the order of operations says do what first? Add. Order of operations. Do you remember that one? I understand. Did you folks have geometry in high school? Okay. How about algebra? Okay, had algebra. Did you have what do they call that thing? The calculus? They had calculus. Oh my goodness gracious, they're torturing you, aren't they? Trig. And my football coach taught trig. That was scary because if you made below 70 on one of his tests, you got to run stadium steps. That was not pleasant. I kept saying, why is it a value for me? And he'd say, the reason that it's good for you to learn trigonometry is so you don't have to run stadium steps. That's all you need to know. You're young and stupid. Now do it. So, young and stupid and did it. Learned a little trick. Well, it didn't affect me at all. Okay, let's look at this at the end formula. Now I'm going to put this into English, and I'm going to say the end formula equals the start rate, the number of customers I start with, plus the number of new customers minus the number who quit. And that's what I have there in I-8. Now, one of the things that you'll learn over time, and the authors don't talk about that in here, is you will sometimes want to insert a text box to give yourself some notes about how did I get that, or why did I do what I did there. Word to the wise, especially if you're going to do a presentation. Now, one of the reasons that we use this assumptions area, it's this area right here, is I can, with those assumptions, I can plug in a new number and everything will update. If I put in a churn rate of 0.20, all the numbers will change because I've been using cell reference properly. If I put in a new start rate of 150, all of that will change. If I put in 25 new per year, all that will change. So what this lets me do is build a forecast. And I could even say, well, on my forecast, starting with 100 is maybe too low. What would it look like at 125? What would it look like at 130? And all I'd have to do is copy the tab and then put in the new assumptions each time. And I start to see what they look like. You with me? So that's one of the reasons I have these texts, these from the textbook, so you can see the background and what they're talking about, what they're trying to show you. Okay? Now, I want to do something here, and let's go back into, we've got the resources, and let's go back into the files area, okay? And we're going to come down to the Excel Companion 1. Now, some of us had a little bit of a problem downloading these last time. If you go over to the files, and you'll see this Excel Companion Content 1. Everybody find that? See it? Okay. Now, I'm going to download it. I had some issues last time, and maybe it will download for me this time. Is downloading for you? We'll open this up here. Anybody have any problems getting it to download? I'm going to try this as well. Anybody have any problems getting it to download? No, it's probably because I've got the recording and all that stuff going on. So that opens up like 45 chapters. Yeah. Now I've got it on my desktop, and I did finally get it downloaded. Anybody have trouble downloading? Okay, good. Let's open it up now. And this is Companion 1. This is the Excel Companion. Make sure you have the Excel, not the Access. You got it? Okay. Now you're going to see these are the files for the chapters. Okay. And these go down to chapter 45, and then a file called Makeup Sort. All right. Let's click on chapter number 1. And we're going to open that up, and you're going to see 3 types of files. You're going to see a solution file, you're going to see practice files, and then templates. Okay? With me so far? Let's look at the templates first. So we'll open them up. Now I'm having a slow download here, so it's okay. Now you'll see for chapter 1, you've got these bakery 1 temp, bakery 2 temp, etc. And if you go back to the Excel resources I referenced, you'll see that where I talked about bakery 1 temp. You see it? This is a template. So it's got some stuff built in, so you just plug in the numbers and you're good to go. Okay, so that's the first one. All righty, now let's go back up to the chapter 1 level and let's look at the solution files. And they've got some files there for solutions. Solution 1, you have to go in and look at the text to see those. They don't telegraph very well, they're not titled very well. And then look at the practice files. Okay, you'll see a thing called bakery 1 final, bakery 2 final, etc. You say, what should I upload? You can upload that, and I'll take some time to discuss it. Or you could upload for XLS1 the whistle cleaners. We looked at that the other day and played around with it a little bit. Either one of them is fine. If you want to try to do one of them, that's fine too. Right? Because I'm going to cover some, like we just got through looking at that one there, with that figure 1.5, that file. We can open these up and take a look at them as well. Now I've got these selected. If you look back at this thing on the resources, okay, for Excel cases, you'll see that there's a purpose there. And so I'm trying to say, okay, what kind of business problem or spreadsheeting skill are we trying to work through? And then I say, okay, here's an example file. This is a case I've worked on, messed with it. And then files from the Winston text that you could use. You got that?
Just really quick. So our assignment when we get it is going to be to look at this PDF and then upload it.
Yeah. Well, the file that it references in there. The PDF is listing what I need to turn in for what you need to turn in for each of the cases. Take a look at the PDF there. And it's going to tell you for XLS1, so one of those files, either one of those, you upload, that's the workshop credit for that.
Okay, so if I go in the bakery 1 file, bakery 1 final, I'll see.
You're going to see some information because with the text, they'll walk you through what they did there in that file. Okay, and what I try to do is maybe take some time and work through it and take a look at it with you here in class. All right, and I've got these selected so that when you get ready to do the hands-on parts of your exams, we've covered some of those techniques or processes or whatever I've got in there for you to do. Okay, that help?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Just to be sure, basically the exam is really where you get the hands-on work.
Exam. Yeah, I have the exams. I have 2 parts. Part 1 is the objective. Part 2 is a hands-on kind of thing. I might say, okay, here's 2 sets of data, and I'd like you to chart them and see how they appear as they out in space. Or I might say, here's some sets of data. Do a pivot table when we get down to that point, or do a chart. You got me? That help? Everybody's clear on that one? Yes? Okay. Now, let's look at this file that we'd opened from the companion text. Let's go back here and chapter 1. And I want to look at the practice files. And I'm going to open up the bakery 1 final. Okay? Now, there will be in the textbook some narrative related to or about this case. Now, we looked at that one where we were doing the forecast for the health club, okay? That gave us some information about 2 things. Key takeaways from what we did there was this. First of all, the way I organize a spreadsheet, I have an assumptions area, okay? And then I have an area where I do the processing of the data and the output. really the third key takeaway was make sure that you do the cell referencing such that you can take advantage of Excel's ability to let you drag and drop. Fair enough? Now let's go down here and take a look at this case. And I've opened up the bakery one final. Everybody it open? Okay. Go ahead and get it. And if you should see it on the screen, and I'm going to take a look here, and here we have some suppliers. Okay. And they have some prices for different components of whatever I think it's they're bakers, so it's bread or whatever they make. But I've got sugar, butter, and flour. Got me covered? These are their prices. Then they have the quantity, okay, for the price. And these, I guess, a certain amount of ounces, who knows. And then down here we have the cost per supplier. Now, right now, I have data. Data is just, it's there. I've got some columns of data, but I look at them and it doesn't say much to me. So the next piece of this is not only doing some computational work, but getting the thing organized. Let's ask ourselves for a moment, is this organized well? Yes, it is. I have one piece of this spreadsheet where I have prices. Okay? So you say, okay, I want to compare prices. I can do that. I'm going to start with sugar and put your cursor on cell E5 and come all the way down to E10. Okay? Pardon me, yeah, E5 to E10. I'm sorry. Got it? Now, come over on the toolbar and go, and you'll see a thing called conditional formatting. You see it? Okay, click it. And you're going to come to a draw. Now, let me stop for a moment. Every spreadsheet is organized. Typically, they'll have a toolbar on the top, sometimes on the side. And then they use what they call a branch or tree organization. So what do you mean? Okay, I clicked on conditional formatting. There are different ways I can do that. I select one, and you kind of see how that's organized. So I've got that tab, and then I've got the function within the tab, and then I've got a drop-down menu, and then from that menu I can make a selection. So there are any one of a number of data bars I can use. I'm going to make a histogram about as easy, a bar graph about as easy as I can make it. And we have the data bars, okay? And I'm going to use the gradient fill. Why would I use the gradient fill? It's okay. It's not readily apparent until you say, okay, with the gradient, I can still see the number. So I'm going to choose the gradient fill. Now let's look at that for just a moment, and now I have a bar graph. Okay? Now I can ask myself a question. In terms of what people are charging me, are there some disparities? Is somebody really charging me a lot of money versus somebody else? The chart will tell me who's charging the most. Supplier 2 and 5. Who's charging me the least? Okay, there's a reason 2 and 5 are charging me the most, and a reason that supplier 3 is charging me the least. I want to find out what that would be. Is it the quality of the product? Is it delivery? Is it terms? Maybe I buy it from them on credit, and one of them has a higher interest rate or carrying charge than the other. But at least I can see that there's some differences there, because it's not really apparent to you, but the chart up. And I do know this, as I look there, I'm seeing that everybody, well, I've got 2 of them, let's see, 3 and 6 are low, 4 is kind of in the middle, and then the rest of them are all up there around 35 cents. So there's not any really big disparities between them. Now, if I wanted to, I could use Excel then to do some summary statistics, like I could compute the mean or the average. I could compute the standard deviation for these. Standard deviation says what it means. It means what it says. Let's say, for example, the mean is 50 and the standard deviation is 15. One standard deviation above the mean is going to be 65. One below is 35. Two above is going to be 80. Two below is going to be 20. And I know if the data are quote unquote distributed normally, that somewhere between 80 and 20, 68% of the data or the observations will show up. It's called Gaussian distributions. If you've had stat, or get ready to take stat, you'll hear all about that. So it allows me to think probabilistically. So I don't have any real outliers there, so I'm going, okay. But I'd want to know that why is one charging me 25 and why is one charging me 35? So that gives me a question. If I do my analysis, it will typically generate another deeper level question that says, what's the difference between these two? Got me? Now I know with butter and with this example, it's not very exciting. But let's say you're at some point in the future, your boss says, I want to find out who should we buy our chips from? And we get a cost, and you get a set of people who bid on them, or anything that they might offer you, or we discover that we're paying so much for let's say you're running somebody's restaurant, you're the regional manager, and they say so and so is selling us so much, is selling his hamburgers a certain amount per pound, and you've got those prices. Then it gets exciting because if you mess up at that point, it could cost you your job. Or if you're a business owner, like we were earlier where we're doing the forecast, that's exciting too. You decide to go into business, you take everything you've got, you scrape together that money, you go see Aunt Agnes, she gives you her life savings. Mom and Daddy take a third mortgage on the house because we still haven't paid off college. And you start your business and it fails. How will you feel? The Bible says money is the root of all evil, and that's true, the love of money. But I can guarantee you, if you start a business and you involve people and you lose their money, they're not very friendly. And if they're your family, you'll have to face them for the rest of your life. So I said the first day, to be a business person takes enormous courage. To be an entrepreneur takes lots of courage. And when you're running somebody's business for them, it's not your money, it's theirs. Never forget that. Okay, so we've got this. We've done a little bit of analysis here on the sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down here. We've got the quantities. And then we come down to a cost for sugar, for butter, for flour, per supplier. Okay. Now let's do a little bit of analysis here, and this time we're going to have a little bit of fun. And click on cell D27. Okay. And put in this word supplier. Okay. Now I have a table, and I'm going to do this. Put it right in supplier in D22. Okay. And then take your cursor, and we're going to do you're going to highlight everything from D22. The array is going to be D22 down to, I think that's H28 if I'm not mistaken. All right. So I'm going to do D22 to H28. Now, I'm going to use a tool in Excel, and I'm going to do a sort. If you look over on the far right-hand side, you're going to see it says sort and filter. You see it? Did you find it? This time I'm going to take a gander at these and I'm going to do a custom sort. Now, look on this and it says my data has headers. The headers are supplier, sugar, butter, flour, total. Those are the headers. Okay? And I'm going to do a sort of these and see what it looks like. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort them by supplier, and I'm going to put them A to Z. So they'll be sorted in some type of alphabetical order. Okay? And click OK. And it stays the same. We're there. Now I'm going to click on sort and filter. I'm doing my custom sort, and I'm going to add an additional sort. Have you done this before? Now the next question for me is, okay, I've got these columns. I've got sugar, butter, flour. These are components. I'm a baker. Okay? So this is the stuff. Okay? And because we're buying this stuff and it's really cheap, rotten stuff, I'm called the Breaking Bad baker. I teach high school and I'm not making any money, so I decided to become a Breaking Bad baker. Say that 25 times. It's easier to do than correct. Have you ever thought about it, correct, and said it? You know, people in those days, it didn't take much to get them wound up. They didn't have cable. They worked out on the farm from sun up to sundown. He came home. It did correct. You're like it's like going to the bar to get some coffee and having 5 espressos. It was easy to entertain people. Now everybody goes, I have 600 channels. I'm bored. Give me another chip. All right. So what do we want to do our next sort? We've done a primary sort, and that is on the supplier. So I'm going to add another level to my sort. And I'm interested in the total. Okay. So I'll choose total. And do I want to do highest, smallest to largest, or largest to smallest, and why? What do you think? Smallest to largest, or largest to smallest? Talk to me. I'll go fetal if you don't. That's ugly. I go into a fetal right in the floor. Yeah, I melt down right there. And all I can do is say pot, pot, pot. Because I can infinite amounts of pot. I said that to my mother, and she said, you think you're really smart, don't you? And she said, I'll show you. And she did pi out to about the 11th iteration out of her head. She went to high school in days when high school was real, I guess. I don't know. Worked out on the farm. I talked to my granddad one time. Farm people can fix anything, and they understand mathematics and electronics and stuff better than anybody. Those people, you can fix anything. My granddad, yeah. I'm going, what? We just went through geometry. He said, don't you know how to cut a saw, boy? I really don't. But you obviously do. Do I want to go smallest to largest, largest to smallest? Why? Okay. All right. You're an optimist. Let's do smallest to largest. There we go. Or did I do large? Yeah. I did the largest. You did largest to smallest or smallest to largest? What'd you want? I think I messed myself up. I went smallest to largest in terms of their price. Now one problem I have is I have these folks in here by supplier. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to delete it. And then I'm just going to leave that by the sort because it distorts them. And there we go. No, we don't. That's just strange. What? Okay. I'm going to do it by total values. My data has, huh? That's weird. Wait a minute. I know what I did. Come down here. Custom sort. And I'm going to sort of the total on the values. And I'm going to do smallest to largest. My data has headers. There we, that's weird. Why am I getting that? Let's just try the total column itself. Let's see what happens here. That's weird. Anybody get the same thing? That's really weirding me out. All right, let's do this. No, we'll continue with the current selection. Give me the same thing. That is strange. How would I account for that? Because it's not sorting for me properly. Well, it's not, but I can do something else. I can go back to my friend, the conditional format. Ah, I know what I'll do. I'll just put them, well, I've got them by, let's just run this back. If I get into a situation, see the little hook up here at the thing, I'll just undo. And we'll try that. I'll go back. And we're through out of undos. So let's look at these for just a second. Well, no, the deal is they're in natural order. That's why. Okay. So supplier one is indeed the highest. Okay. So let's go ahead and mess with this for just a second. The supplier was the highest total overall. Now, that's easy to see. Now, the question then is, I would want to look at flour, butter, and sugar, butter, and flour. I apologize about, they were suppliers 1 through 6. Supplier 1 is, they're in natural order. You say, what do you mean? Well, supplier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the authors set up so that supplier 1 was the most expensive. Supplier 6 was the least expensive. That's my fault. I'm sorry I wasted their time. Got it? Yes.
The supplier 3 is cheaper than supplier 6.
They are, aren't they? Okay. You're right. That's one's the largest. No, that's weird. Now, when you run into something like that, I see what's going on. What we've got going on here is we've got a formula there. So highlight those cells, okay? Click copy, and let's come over here to L, that's going to be L19, all right? And we're going to paste, but we're going to just paste the values. And the reason we were getting that anomaly over there is there's a formula built in there. So we're not just working with the cases, by the data by themselves. So now this should work. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to sort and filter them. Let's see how we get. And I'll do the custom sort. I need to put a header on the top of it. So I'll put total. Sorry about that. Okay, now I'm ready to go. All righty, now we're ready. Custom sort. And my data has headers. I'm good here. Smallest, largest. That's strange. That's really weird. I don't know why we're getting that anomaly. That's just weird. Huh? Oh, okay. Let's see here. I put my data has headers, and well, there it is. It worked. Thank you. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Now, we can go back and look at the suppliers, but now if I run into something, I spent some time, I had the anomaly because my brain went dead, but I could also, of course, come in, and this is one of the reasons I love the conditional formatting, because what I can do is come in with it, okay, and I can do the data bars, and I can get a nice bar graph. So if I look at this, supplier number one really sticks out. Everybody else is all kind of in the same region. Follow me? So, and there will be those times when you're doing it on the fly like we are here, where you'll want to use the simplest method possible, or you may already have a chart or graph or whatever built out. If you do that, you'll always want to have some notes in there for yourself. Okay? So supplier number one has the highest total cost. And I have some questions I can start to ask myself. Supplier three, of course, is the lowest. And I want to ask myself, what's the difference between supplier three and supplier one? What accounts for the difference in the total cost of dealing with them? Is it possible for me to choose, if I can, the lowest price for everything from a mix of vendors? Yeah. Why would I do that? And can I do that? Let's go back up here for just a second. And let's look at the price for sugar, which is, and let's identify what's the lowest price. Who has the lowest price? Okay, let's take that cell, and I want to highlight it. I'll make it green. Now, for butter, who's the lowest price for butter? Supplier 4. Okay, and I'm going to highlight that cell. Who has the lowest price for the flour? Okay, supplier 2 has 10 cents. There's a tie, isn't there, between the two suppliers, right? Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight them. Now what I've done here is I've done a very, very rough and dirty exercise on what we call optimization, and that is I'm trying to get the best, the lowest price possible for all of my components. Got it? And I did it here with, and I just used the highlighter to say, okay, I'm going to buy my sugar from supplier 3, my butter from supplier 4, and flour I could buy from either one. So I don't have to single source flour if I'm conscious about price. Now there's a function that I could use in Excel if I was really all that hepped up about it. Come over here and put your cursor on E11, okay? And then we're going to put equal, and we're going to get the minimum. So I wouldn't have to do all that looking because it's easy to do it with this few, but not if I had 150 of these. And so I'll use the minimum function. You guys use these functions like maximum, minimum, average? Good. Okay. We'll get into some more complex ones. One pointer, and you probably have learned this already, but just to make sure, anytime you're using a function, that you're not quite sure about what's going on, okay? Click on the FX, and most any spreadsheet application is going to have this capability, and it will give you what we call a dialog box, and that is, it will explain how the thing works. It will even show you, it will even give you some help on that function. You got it? There's some other things that I didn't talk about today, but we would do. And let's come down to quantity, all right? And put your cursor on D13. And we're going to do just a little bit of stylistic stuff. So I'm going to click on, and I'm going to put in the word supplier, all right? That's in D13. Now, I'm going to highlight D13 over to, I'll take D13 to whatever that is. That's going to be G13. Now, I want this to look nice and I want it to look professional. So I'm going to put everything in the middle. I'm going to center everything. So much nicer it looks. Now, you won't like hearing this, but it's the truth. When you do a presentation with data, if they're not formatted and they're not looking nice, it can hurt your credibility. Just as much as if you don't have a good visual display of them that explains what the person's looking at. People expect to see some uniformity. So we've got those. And let's go ahead and make those bold. Okay? And in that ribbon, let's add some fill. And a nice fill typically is going to be this, a blue. Okay? And just to be consistent, I'm going to come right over here to D20, and I'm going to come below it, and I'm going to put blue fill. Now I have a nice looking table. Follow me? That makes it look a lot more professional and a lot more credible. Now over here inside, I'm going to start here at B14. I'm going to highlight everything, okay? I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click all borders. Got it? You see how much nicer that looks? Now I know this doesn't seem very important, but it will if you put something in a report or you do a presentation. It's going to look more organized. It's going to look like you really worked with the data and know what's there. It's just simply, and it's the same as in your instructors. I don't do that, but your other instructors in courses will have you do a presentation if you haven't already, and you come in dressed up, right? You wouldn't show up for a presentation looking, just wearing your regular clothes. If I had to go out and meet with somebody, I'm not going to wear this. I'd look like an idiot. And I am an idiot, but I don't want them to know that yet. So I'd wear a nice suit, depending on the client. I tend to more go with sports jacket and slacks because I can get more for my money. If you're going to go for a suit, I don't know, I guess Dr. Rubox might be spoken with all of you. Gentlemen, if you're going to have a suit, okay, I know that fitted suits are the thing. But unless you have a nicely tailored body, cut it a little loose. Not terribly loose. But don't buy something that have you ever seen Tommy Boy, the movie? Yeah, you look at the Tommy Boy, and he's in this suit and he can't move. Somebody, make sure it's tailored nicely, the pants are cut nice. Have some cuffs. The cuffs ought to hit about the middle of your shoe. Why? Most of the people you'll interview with are going to be my age or maybe a little younger, and to them, a suit with cuffs is a suit. I understand your generation, you don't wear those. And if you're going to go to a place where you're probably going to be interviewing someone in your age group or maybe a little older, you're good. But if somebody shows up and they don't have cuffs on their suit and I'm interviewing them, I'm looking and saying, they don't even know how to wear a suit. Another pointer. This is just for the gentleman. if you can, wear suspenders for the suit. If you're not wearing a suit, okay, a belt's fine. If it's grandpa, it's both. Ever seen grandpa? It's both. But if you're wearing a suit, guys, get a nice pair of suspenders. Okay? If you're going to wear a suit and a jacket and some slacks, a belt's okay. Final thing. So you get more than, of course, you ever bargained for. Make sure that you have dress socks or socks that go up to your calf. Why? There is nothing more disturbing than sitting and talking to someone and see their socks and see their bare, naked ankle. I guarantee you, you go to an interview and you have that happen, and someone's going to look at you and go, they don't even know how to dress. So wear socks that are calf length. Okay? If you want to, you can wear the old man, real creepy, kind of silky, you can see through socks. Don't do that. I use those when I mow the lawn in my shorts with my black pointy shoes. But otherwise, this is the pointers you didn't want to know. But this right here, this little table here, this quantity, we've got it nicely done. Now we could add some, we could go ahead and add another column that would have some summative data of some type if we wanted to. But right here is just everything. Because watch what happens. I look here and I see quantity. My eye's directed there. In this culture, everything is left to right. So then I see the columns. And then I bore down a little bit and I start to look at suppliers. Follow me? And those are the basics of creating a chart. Now, I've got the data chart. A display chart, that's another issue. And that's where I could use the conditional formatting. I could use a bar chart, and we'll look at some of that as we move on. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Any questions I can try to answer? Add drop? Yes.
So this would count as one of our assignments.
Absolutely. For one of your workshop assignments, yes.
And when you walk through, is that the instructions in the book?
No. If you go back in the book, you'll see a different set of instructions. And they're going to probably have you do some different things with it, which is fine. So if you want to go through the book and do that version, fine. Or if you would want to take this, save it to your desktop, upload it, we're good.
So when you're grading, sorry.
Well, I'm grading. I just see what you've submitted. And if you,
like, how do you grade it based on?
I take a look if you've I open it up, take a look, see if you look like you've done some work there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For XLS1, sure. This are the whistle cleaners. Okay. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that here in a minute. Okay? That's all, really. Thank you much. Yeah, with the workshop, I'm just trying to get you a little experience working with these and trying some different things. So I'm not going to, on this one, I'm not going to say, well, you didn't do step 37 in the book. That's crazy because you might not want to do step 37. You can see, I would bet you if you went and looked at the authors and what they have you do, they probably don't have you do not any of this. But I want to make sure that you've got at least know what your options are or what you're going to be doing. Okay? Everybody clear on what's going on? That seems like an affirmative. Have a good weekend. Don't go out to any of these rave bars or places like that. God, let's see. I'm praying for you. Yes, what you got?
Where exactly are they, like, for the book spreadsheet? Where are the instructions for that?
Well, let me pop over here for just a minute. When we were over here, now I'm in book one. I just go to basic chapter 1, okay? And you go to your chapter 1, and that should match exactly with what I've got.
Yep.
Okay, and so when I reference in that resources thing, open that up. Okay, here's the resources, and they say, okay, the related text mirror, Bakery 210. which is one of those template files is in there. And you could do that, or you could do what we did today with the background here. But then the related text material is going to be chapter 1, figure 1.5. And that's the relate, and go over figure 1.5. Okay. And you'll see now they're going to ask you to do some things or show you some stuff.
Okay.
So if you wanted to look at that as reference and you wanted to try it and then upload it, I'm fine with that. Okay. Otherwise, you could download, you could take what we did today and upload it, I'm fine. The reason I do it is this. The cases that I've worked with through the years, like whistle cleaners, I can change them around and bells and whistles with them and do different things with them because a spreadsheet is a spreadsheet. It would be the same with bakery. Any one of these files in this text, the authors will walk you through some of the basic steps. Sometimes they'll have them in there, sometimes they won't. What I'll try to do sometimes is focus on some things that I think they don't do, like as I was mentioning, for example, with the cell referencing or visual display.
Okay, so basically the stuff you talk about in the lecture is what you probably want us to adjust for the spreadsheets.
Sure, and if you don't, that's okay. If you just follow along with what they've got, I'm fine with that as well. Okay, that's just what I try to do is to say, okay, here's something that you might run into. Now, we didn't do Guardian Payroll, and when we get to that one, which is, there's a number 2 that we didn't work on today, so we'll probably, that's Athena. So again, that's a case that I did, okay? And then there's this, over in chapter 2 is this thing called named rows. That's a temp file over in 217. Now you can go over to it and you can try to follow all those steps. That's fine. I will probably open it up and mess with it and do some different things that I think are important for you to know as well. Then these files over here, these old ones, I've had them for a long time, and I'll tweak them and I'll show you. There'll be some other things I'll incorporate in those that I haven't done. The whole point about it is this, is kind of understanding how to do spreadsheeting and working with them. There is a point where you can have a formula where I go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's a point, though, where you kind of have to launch off of that and say, what do I want to try to do with this?
Okay.
How do I display it? How do I organize it? Like this one that we were working with. Let me open up for just a minute. Okay. This is the bakery final. Okay. Now this bakery 1 final, they have text, and the text in there walks you through. Put the data in these cells, use these formulas, blah, 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 which is great, okay? But you want to start to say, okay, how would I present this, put it into something that's presentable? How can I use some ways to use some, to visually depict these data? And then they've also got some things in there where they want to teach you some business about, like, they've got these formulas. They have the formula displayed instead of the number. Okay, so it's kind of just working you through that and giving you that experience. And when I teach the course on any one of these cases, I never do it the same. Even the old cases I've had, these old files, I never do them the same way, because it's really gonna. There is no right answer a lot of times, except if you've got. If you've got something like, okay, what's the total of the column? That's one thing. Or what's the average of these numbers? Okay. Or I say, well, I want you to use a pie chart to depict these data. A right answer. But it's as much an art as anything, and that's why I also gave you guys the few text, because he shows you how they should be, the charts, graphs, pie charts, etc., ought to be organized and set up so you can see, so they convey the information properly. And he kind of alerts you to ways that people can cheat on stuff and you don't really grasp it, or to make sure that you use the right visual display with the right kind of data.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're going.
Yeah. I mean, if you say you have timeline data, okay, I'll see people who use a bar chart for timeline data, which is insane, because you really just want to use a timeline. because you're talking about data points.
Right. So a timeline. For
Yeah.
timeline data.
And you want, and the other thing is, okay, on the x-axis, how much do I squeeze it or how much do I stretch it? I can take stock market data and I can scrunch them and make it look like the stock market is just off the roof. And then I can put them out on a longer perspective that looks just as smooth as, you know, as a nice day in the lake.
Okay.
And because you don't see all the intraday turbulence that's in there. So those are the kinds of things that the feed book covers and we talk about here in the class. So you understand how to display that.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
good. You betcha. Thanks. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, you too.